Eh, Good evening, everyone. So, today we'll be continuing the topic which we have left in the earlier class, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. We have completed about androecium and gynoecium. Both the topics are done, and we are left with pollination. Okay, we are left with pollination. So, today we will be discussing about the pollination. Now, first of all, what do you mean by pollination? What do you mean by pollination? So, the pollination is nothing but transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. Okay, stigma is the pistil part and anther is the stamen part. Okay, now we know, right? Pollen grains are formed where? Pollen grains are formed where? Pollen grains are formed in anther. Okay, and after forming in the anther, it is transferred to the stigma. Okay, next. Now, on the basis of source of pollen, there are different types of pollination. First, let us talk about self-pollination. What do you mean by self-pollination? Self-pollination is nothing but self-pollination. Self-pollination. Self-pollination is nothing but if there is a plant, okay, there is a plant, and in plant there are flower. Okay, there is one flower. There's one flower. Okay, in the same plant, and there is one flower, and in this one flower we have male part as well as female part, both the parts. And in one flower only, and in one plant, if the pollen grain transformation is going on, that is considered as self pollination. Okay, which is also called as autogamy. Which is also called as autogamy. Which is also called as autogamy. Next, our next is gitnogamy. So gitnogamy means same plant but different flower. But a different flower. So I can say that if this is for example, just take this as a flower. Plant. Sorry, this is a plant, and here I have one flower, and here I have one more flower. This is a male flower, and this is a female flower. Okay, now the male flower will produce what? Pollen grain, and these pollen grain is transferred to the female flower. So this is called as gitnogamy. Okay, same plant but different flower. Understood? I hope everyone are clear till here. Okay, now next comes xenogamy. Okay, xenogamy. So what do you mean by xenogamy? Xenogamy means unisexual plant, means flowers are in different plant. This is a different plant, this is a different plant. Okay, and for example, this is a male plant which is having male flower, and this is a female plant which is having female flower. So there, if the pollination is happening between two different plants, this is called as xenogamy. Okay, example for xenogamies are date palm and papaya. Papayas are unisexual plant. For autogamy means same flower pollination. Example is sweet potato. Okay, and if you want for bisexual plant but unisexual flower, means same plant but different flower. For that, the answer is maize, coconut. Those are example for that. Okay, I hope everyone are clear till here. If anyone have any doubts, you can write in the comment box. Okay, yeah. Next, what are the conditions for autogamy? If you want autogamy to happen, what are the conditions? First one, it should be a bisexual flower. It should be a bisexual flower. Okay. Second, anther maturity sigma respectively synchronize. Means, see, if it's a bisexual flower, obviously it will have anther as well as it will have what? Stigma. Yes or no? Now, so with this, what I want to say is both anther and stigma should get mature at a time. Synchronize at a time. Okay, it's not that first anther should get what we say, matured, or later on later on stigma will get matured. No, both anther and stigma should get matured at a time. So that is called as synchronize. Okay. Next, open and closed flower. Okay, so what do you mean by open and closed flower? Means, see, buds. We have no flower buds. So those are closed flower. Those are not bloomed. So if the flower is not opened, what happens? It is not having any chance that any other pollen gland should come and sit on the stigma. Yes or no? So if the flower is closed completely, then it should undergo self pollination, which is also called as autogamy. Okay. Now, next, what is next point is next word. What we required for what? For geitonogamy. For geitonogamy. For geitonogamy, plant should be bisexual. Yes, plant should be bisexual, but not flower. Okay, flower should be unisexual, but plant should be bisexual. Okay. Next, condition for xenogamy. Okay, plant different but the same species. Yes, it's not that rose pollen is going to pollinate lily, right? No, no, right? Both rose will be rose pollen grains will be fallen into rose stigma only. Okay, species should be same. Okay. Next, maximum variation will happen in this xenogamy. Okay, obviously maximum variation because it's completely cross pollination. Okay, it's completely a cross pollination. Next. Okay, next. Let us talk about pollinating agents. So, what are pollinating agents? Okay, what are pollinating agents? Pollinating agents are nothing but, see, for any pollination, for any pollination, we require certain agents. Okay, so what are those agents? First, abiotic agents. Abiotic agents. So, abiotic agents are nothing but wind, water, wind and water. These are called as abiotic agents. What are biotic agents? Biotic agents are nothing but animals, insects, ants, bat, bird, snails. Those will come under biotic agents. So these agents are very helpful for what? For transferring the pollen grains from flower to flower. Okay. I hope everyone are clear till here. Yes. Let's let's talk about wind pollination. Okay, let us talk about wind pollination. Like how the pollen grain should be, how the plant should be, so that it should undergo wind pollination. Okay, wind pollination. Let us talk about wind pollination. Wind pollination, we know one thing very clearly, that for wind pollination we required wind for sure. Yes or no? Yeah. For wind pollination we require wind. So what happened? We generally know like when wind is happening, how the pollen grain should be very light in weight, obviously. When I want a wind to take it away, flew it away, I want pollen grains to be very light. Okay. Now, next. Okay. uh let's more talk about now. What type of future small pollen grains? It should be non-sticky. Yes, it should be non-sticky. It should be light in weight, and stigma should be very feathery. Stigma. Stigma should be very feathery, like this, feathery. So that if any pollen grains will come, it should trap it very easily. Okay. Flower can be colorless. See, why we want flower to be more attractive and more colorful? Because I want to attract what? I want to attract insect. But in this case, I don't want an insect, right? Wind is not going to show any partiality that if the flower is not having any colorful nature, I'm not going to pollinate its pollen grain. It's not like that, right? Flower can be colorless. Okay. Next, this is about the wind. Next, let us talk about next. Let us talk about water pollination. let us talk about water pollination. Water pollination, obviously, what we are going to use? Water. Okay. So here what happens? Algae, bryophyte, pteridophytes. These are the plant kingdoms which will undergo water pollination. So what are the phylums which are undergoing the water pollination? Algae, bryophytes, and pteridophytes. Okay. Now let us talk about biotic agents. Biotic agents. Let us talk about biotic agents. Insects. First comes insects. Pollination. Okay. So for insects, what happens? Why insects will help a plant for pollination? Because in exchange, plants give what? Plants give nectar to insects. And how the flower should be, so that the plant will come and allow the pollination. First thing, the flower should be so much colorful. It should have good odor. Means the flower smell should be good. Next, third thing, um, what will happen? The pollen grain should be sticky, because when the insect is sitting on the flower and it is consuming their nectar, the pollen grains should stick on their body. Okay, so it should be sticky. Okay. What is the main insects which is helping in the which is the main insect which is helping in the pollination? We can take the example of bee and butterfly. Bee and butterfly are very important and major insects. Okay. Next, bat is also helping in the pollination. We know that. How bat is helping? By large size of flower. Flower size should be large and their odor should be very strong. Okay, and nectar should be present for bats. Okay, what about the birds? Same. Birds, for that, the flower should be very dark in color. Okay, it should be dark in color. Okay. Next, sorry, the flower should be in big color. There should be good what we say nectar present. And for birds, if even if the order, if the what we say order is absent, they can show pollinating properties. Okay. Next, next. We let us talk about. Hmm, yeah. Next, let us talk about rewards for pollinators. What are the rewards given to the pollinator? First, they will give nectar. Some pollen grains are also edible, so some pollen grains can be taken as food. Okay. And even for laying eggs in the flower, some plants is very helpful for that as well. Okay. Next, let us talk about outbreeding devices. Okay, let us talk about outbreeding devices. What do you mean by outbreeding devices? So we can say like um, artificial hybridization. Under outbreeding devices, we will learn about artificial hybridization. So what do you mean by artificial hybridization? So there are certain steps in artificial hybridization. First step, we can say emasculation. What do you mean by emasculation? What do you mean by emasculation? So in emasculation, what happens? See, masculine. Masculine means what? The male part, right? The male part. So in emasculation, what is happening is we are going to remove the male. That means we are going to remove the anther. If for example, a flower is a bisexual flower and it has both male and female parts. So what I will do? I will remove the anther. Okay. And I will keep the female part, which is a pistil. Okay. And in this, I'm going to pour my desirable pollen grain. Okay. So the second thing is, the second concept, after emasculation, I will do bagging. Bagging means I'm going to cover my pistil. Why I'm going to cover my pistil? So that any unwanted pollen grain should not come, because I want my desired pollen grain to come in it, right? I want my desired pollen to come in contact and it should show pollination. So for that reason, I'm going to do bagging. So okay. Next, the third is dusting. Third is dusting. So in dusting, what I will do, I will take my desired pollen grains and I am going to simply dust my pollen grains on this pistil. Okay, next 4 again, rebagging. Why rebagging again? Okay, I dusted my pollen grain, but I don't want any other pollen grain to come in contact so that it will get fertile first. Okay, so again I will do rebagging so that it is safe that only my pollen grain is going to fertile this pistil. Okay, that is called as artificial hybridization. Okay, next, what do you mean by pollen pistil interaction? It involves all events after pollination till entry of pollen tube in ovule. Okay, so pollen on stigma. First, pollen grain will fall in stigma. Then what happens? Two things can happen. Either pollen will get accepted or either pollen will get rejected. Yes or no? Either pollen will get rejected. Yes. Now, accepted or rejected. Now, why the stigma is able to accept the pollen grains or reject the pollen grains? Due to some chemical dialogue between the pollen grains and the stigma, this is going to happen. Okay, and this is called as pollen pistil interaction. Okay, and this is called as pollen pistil interaction. First, this is happening either rejection or acceptance because of some chemical dialogues between a pollen grain and the stigma. Then what is second step? Pollen tube formation. Okay, pollen tube growth or pollen tube formation comes out from the germ pore. We have studied. We have a pollen grain. In pollen grains, we have a what? We have a germ pore. Yes or no? We have germ pore on what? On exines, the outer part. So from germ pore, what is going to form? The pollen tube is going to form from that germ pore. Okay. And that is developed from intine because inside the exine, what is present? Intine. So intine is going to help in the formation of pollen tube. I hope everyone are clear till here. Yes? Yeah. Next. Okay. So then growth of pollen tube. Grow in style. Style two types. Hollow or solid. Now, how the pollen tube will be growing? I will tell you. Just give me a moment. So, as you know, how the stigma will be? Stigma will be like this and there will be a style and there will be a O. Okay? Now, pollen grain will be landing on the stigma, which is the platform. Now here what happened just now, I told pollen tube will be formed, right? So this tube will be formed and it is going to fertile what? My ovule, which is present in ovary. Okay, so this is the formation of pollen tube. Okay, this is the formation of pollen tube. Pollen tube entry. Okay, now after this what happens? See, and this pollen tube will be connected through the synergids. When we have studied about embryo sac, we have studied no egg cell and we have two synergids. Yes or no? Which are having some filiform apparatus. Yes or no? Now, so after pollen tube formation, what is the next step we are going to see? Next step is fertilization. We call it as fertilization. We call it as fertilization. Okay. Next. We call it as fertilization. In fertilization, what happened? One male gamete fused with the nuclei of the egg syngamy. Another male gamete fused with the two nuclei of central cell. So, see, always remember, in a pollen grain, we have two gametes. Two male gametes, okay? Two gametes. Two gametes, okay? Two male gametes. So, what happens here? Always remember. So we know, right, in embryo sac, we have here egg cell, two synergid cells. Here we have central nuclei and here again we have three more cells. Yes or no? So when the pollen tube is forming, what happened? One male gamete will fuse with this egg cell. Okay, fuse with this egg cell and other male gamete will fuse with this two nuclei. Okay, with this two nuclei. And now here we will be studying about double fertilization and triple fusion. Okay, so what do you mean by triple fusion? Can you see this nuclei and the male gamete fusing together? See here there are two, right? So two nuclei plus one gamete. So this is called as triple fusion. Triple fusion. Now what is double fertilization? See, one gamete is fusing with one egg cell, and one gamete is fusing with the two nuclei. Two fertilization is taking place, right? So because of this only we call it as what? Double fertilization. We call it as double fertilization. I hope everyone are clear what is triple fusion and what is double fertilization now. These words are clear for everyone? Yes. Next. Okay. This is called as double fertilization and triple fusion. Okay. Next. After fertilization, what happens? First, embryo formation, embryo development. Okay, then what will happen? Embryo development. Okay, embryo development. So, uh, zygote will form embryo. Okay, zygote will form embryo. Okay, and the food for this embryo will be given by whom? Endosperm. It will be given by endosperm. Okay. Before zygote divide, endosperm division starts. Yes. Before the zygote divide itself, before that only, endosperm will start dividing itself because it has to give nourishment and food to the embryo. Okay. Next. Hmm. Um. Next, let us talk about seed fertilize seed seed. Seed is nothing but fertilized ovule. Seed is nothing but fertilized ovule. Okay, seed is fertilized ovule. So how the structure of seed will be? First there will be a seed coat. First there will be a seed coat. Second, first seed coat. Then second we call it as embryo. Then endosperm may be present. It is not sure that in seeds there should be a endosperm. Okay, there should be some endosperm. It is not confirmed. Next. Okay. Next, third point. Third point is that, and first point is seed coat, and second is embryo, and third is it can have endosperm or it may not have. Okay. In some seeds, for example, black pepper, what we have? We have perisperm. We have perisperm. Okay. We have some perisperm. Perisperm. Okay. Now development of seed. How seed develop? How the seed develops? How the seed develops? Now, embryo goes into dormancy. Water content 10 to 15%. Okay. Now, advantages of seed. Advantage of seed. Okay. First thing, we can have much variations. We can have many variations. Okay. Now, seed coat is present. Why seed coat is present? For protection. For protection. Next, seed germination. Seed germination is water dependent. Is water dependent. Is water dependent. Okay. It is water dependent. Next, dehydration and dormancy due to which seed can be stored. Because of dehydration or because of seed dormancy, we can store the seeds for many years. Yes, there are many farmers in our country who actually preserve they'll preserve what? They'll preserve seed for their next season. Yes or no? So the same thing happens here. Okay. Next. uh, Viability of seeds. See, just now I told seeds can be preserved, right? So, what is the viability of seed? Okay, so you can see that Phoenix datylifera, it can store. It's a dead sea. It's a it's a dead sea for 2000 years. We can store it. Okay. Number of seeds, large number of tiny seeds. So large number of tiny seeds in what we can forms to of in what flowers we can find too many large seeds, that are orchids. Orchids have too many small seeds. Okay. Fulcus, which is also called as people. People. Okay. People plant. Next, after seed, we have what? We have fruits. We have fruits. Okay, fruits. You know how fruit is formed? How fruit is formed? How fruit is formed? Fruit is formed because of matured what? Ovary. Okay. So fruits can be of, or we can also call it as ripened ovary. Okay, ripened ovary or matured ovary. Okay. Next. So there are three types of fruits. One is true fruit, one is false fruit, and one is parthenocarpic fruit. So what is true fruit? True fruit develop from ovary. If ovary is forming fruit, that is called as true fruit. What is false fruit? False fruit means nothing but thalamus. Fruit is formed by thalamus. Thalamus. Okay. Next, what do you mean by parthenocarpic fruit? Seedless fruit. Seedless fruit. Seedless fruit is called as parthenocarpic fruit. Example for seedless is banana. False fruit example is cashew and apple and strawberries. True fruit example are normal mangoes and all. Okay, mango and all. Okay, now so this is about the fruits. These are about the types of fruits. Okay, with this we have completed our pollination chapter. Okay, I hope everyone understood this concept, and if you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section, and for sure I'll clear each and everyone's doubt. Okay, have a great day.